Welcome back to another episode of How Did They Grow? I created this podcast because I wanted you to learn how other coaches, freelancers, service providers, and course sellers are growing their business, landing 10 to 20 new clients every single month, paying them 50, 100, 200K months. See, if they've done it, you can too. And that's just the reality. And I want you to listen to these podcasts to understand what strategies are they using, what techniques are they exploring, because it's in these gems that you can apply it to your business and actually scale things up. When you're ready and you feel like you actually want to learn practical, proven methodologies, or even you want to hire a team that can build you a profitable personal brand, book in a chat with our team because we can guarantee you go viral and guarantee you get clients for your business.
All right. Thank you so much, John, for coming on our podcast. I really appreciate you. So without further ado, I want to jump straight into it for our listeners and our viewers. You have built a multi-seven-figure business in mastering how to create conversion-focused content on TikTok and other platforms that will help other solopreneurs and other business owners to get more leads and get more sales for their business. So I believe this business started this year, only in March. So let's jump straight there. Talk us through how you ended up launching this business and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, great question. Again, I mentioned earlier that I was kind of retired from the digital world after selling my last startup, but got a little bored and wanted to jump back in. So I was looking at markets, and because I come from the startup world, market research is really important when you're building building a startup. And so I decided I would do the same thing. I obviously the digital product industry, which has exponential growth year over year, and it's multi-billion-dollar industry. That's one that really stood out to me because I know where there's big growth, there's big problems. So my market research essentially was way back at the start of this year was to buy a digital product and then attempt to resell it. So one, so I could get in a community of digital product sellers and see what their biggest problems were, but two, to see how viable it is as well. And so in that process, I did discover there were massive problems in that industry. But I was very successful also at selling the digital product. I was able to sell $80,000 worth of that digital product in a few months. So I knew there was a big opportunity there, but big problems because you're getting a lot of newbies new to the industry dropping into the industry, and they buy this digital product course, they get their business set up, but then they land on social media and they don't get the results that they were talked to about in terms of, you make one video and $10,000 falls out of the sky. They weren't getting those results and they just couldn't figure it out. And that's a very large percentage of them. It's about 90% of them that struggle with that. When the camera goes on, they just don't know what to do when they're creating content that resonates with their perfect target audience. So I saw that as a massive opportunity. And again, just following kind of that lean startup approach, I didn't invest a lot of money in this business to get to, doing $200,000 months. I invested $900. That's all I did. But in that journey, I started creating, when I was having success, I started creating content that spoke to the struggling digital product sellers. And as a result of that, I started getting people that wanted mentorship. I then moved into creating a private Facebook group, and people paid $20 a month to be in there. And that quickly skyrocketed. I think we have over 4,000 people between our couple of groups we have right now that pay for that kind of mentorship. And then the natural process was to create a program that we could put in their hands so that we could get this in a lot more people's hands rather than just trying to service people in a one-on-one atmosphere in a private group. So that's what we did. And we created the program here, Mastering Online Profit. We call ourselves mopheads. That's why they just MOP type of thing. But and we only launched that product 2.5 months ago. We had a great launch. I think our first week we did 600 courses sold in the first week, and it's just kind of, as word spread, it's just stayed red hot like that because there are so many digital sellers that need help trying to figure out how to create content that does convert predictably.
Amazing.
So, not the start of all this was kind of in the trajectory of the way I do my startups, where you get in, do that market research, look for the gaps in the market, and try and fill them, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's amazing. That's amazing. So you basically went in, tried to figure this out, ended up being amazing at it, saw that other people were facing a very big problem that you already had a solution to, ended up basically scaling a business up from there.
Yeah, it allowed me to take my last 15 years of experience in the digital marketing world and, solve those problems based on strategies I know in regards to creating content. Having built, several multi-million-dollar companies online, it allowed me to take those strategies and help these solopreneurs, these, digital sellers or content creators fix their number one problem.
Amazing, amazing. And let's actually talk about that. I want to talk about the problem that you're solving, the kind of work that you're doing. So you're helping these people create specific content that's going to help them encourage more leads and more sales, and equally funnel that actually converts views into, becoming part of their ecosystem internally. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we use what we call the content creation six-pack. And basically, the strategy is based on a couple of different elements. One is how the rules of the algorithm work based on the user data attribution signals that the algorithm wants to see. So it will push your content out to more people because they see it valuable. So a lot of people, if your business lives on TikTok and your business partner is basically the algorithm and you don't know how it works, your business is probably going to struggle a little bit, right? But once you understand, because it's a content platform, we know that, and they want to keep people on that platform as long as humanly possible. If your content is boring and very salesy and doesn't line up with attraction marketing or the way the algorithms work, it's not going to push it out because that's not good for their business, right? So we try and drive our people in the direction of doing attraction marketing, moving away from those sales videos that nobody wants to watch, because no one's on social media to be sold to. They're on there for entertainment or value. So we help them create incredible value in their videos so that people do want to follow them and kind of position themselves as an expert. And then we teach them, after they have a strong understanding of attraction marketing and the algorithm, the way the algorithms work, we start to teach them the structure of those videos. So number one, the hook. You hear a lot of creators say, you've got 3 to 5 seconds to stop the scroll. That's not even remotely true. You've got less than a second because that's how fast people scroll, right? And I always say this, you have to approach your content this way, is the viewers have already made a decision to scroll past your video before they've even seen it. So Absolutely. If you consider that, how important it is to create a hook, an on-screen hook that is going to stop them and get them into your video, it's critical because you could create the greatest piece of content ever. If nobody's clicking on it, then nobody's watching it. So we teach them how to create those transformational hooks, problem solution, so that tapping into that pain point, but the promise of a solution so that your target audience will click on it, right? And then most importantly, the next part of the six-pack is the subhook. A lot of people don't even know what a subhook is, but a subhook is essentially like your bridge from your hook to the main body of the copy. And what a really great subhook does is, I could say this to any content creator right now because 90% of them have this problem. Go look at your analytics. I guarantee you your average watch time is under 5 seconds. 90% of content creators. Now, if that's the case, no one's absorbing your content to extract the value to even find out what it is you're selling. So we take that 5 seconds and push it all the way to the end of the video with a subhook where it has a really incredible CTA, which is, again, the promise of some value to solve that problem if the person stays all the way to the end of the video. And you make that so it, the problem it solves, the pain point's very high. So you can get some kind of resource or tool or training in their hands for free if they stay all the way to the end of the video. Now they're watching your video all the way to the end. And that sends signals to the algorithm saying, hey, people are enjoying this video. Let's show it to a lot more people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then,
can you give an example of the subhook just so our listeners can?
Sure, yeah. So here's a great example. If here's one. I'm a little self-deprecating when I create my content, but I'm using a Trojan horse effect where I'm kind of doing a sneak attack on them, because I'm not calling out my target audience by saying, hey, 50-year-olds, you can learn how to make money on TikTok. I'm saying old man proves anyone can make money on TikTok. So I'm calling out my audience without them really knowing it by saying, hey, my age demographic proves anyone can make money on TikTok. And then as you transition into the subhook around that 5-second mark, you say, hey, it's me, John, from Mastering Online Profit. And I help people just like you and people like me make money on TikTok. If you stick, here's where the CTA in that subhook is really, really powerful. Say, if you stick around with me in this video, I've got a free tool for you, or a free resource that is going to help you as a complete newbie get started in your digital marketing journey, so you know how and where and when to get started, completely free, right? So now if there's someone that has been online Googling how to make money on TikTok or something like that, and they think they're not tech savvy enough, or maybe they're too old because they think it's for younger generation, I've got a resource for them I'm going to give them that shows them how to do that. If they stay all the way to the end. So I'm pushing that user data attribution signal, back to the algorithm, because they are watching all the way to the end now. And then when they get to the end, you have your body, which is basically your storytelling moment, your kind of Dan Kennedy moment where you're telling that relatable story and then connecting it to the opportunity. And coming out of that at the end, you just direct them to the resource, right? You're directly, hey, if you go to the link in my profile, the name of it is here. You can drop your email and grab it, and you can get started today with this free resource. So you're doing a lot of things with that one subhook. One is you're getting them to stay all the way to the end. So you're pushing your average watch times to 40 seconds. And then you're capturing a lead as well, right? And as we know, leads are the lifeblood of that business. So you're doing two really great things. You're getting engagement with your videos and you're gathering leads at the same time. But you're also positioning yourself as an expert by giving them that free resource. So they'll say, you know what, this guy seems like he knows a little bit about this and he's giving me this free tool. I'm going to follow him. I'm going to watch.
And you're giving them that goodwill. You're creating more goodwill.
Yeah. And then most importantly, well, not most importantly, but your SEO matters, right? Because especially on TikTok, in that if you can get your videos indexed by doing really great SEO, you now are in front of your perfect target audience. Because as we know, I mean, anyone who creates a video on TikTok, they automatically send it out to a certain number of people. But if your video isn't getting indexed in the For You page so that it is in front of your perfect target audience, it's just a random audience of people looking at that may not be interested in it. So those first test people that the algorithm sends it out to, if they're not engaging with it, it's not going anywhere else. It's staying stuck under 200 views. So those are the problems that we solve specifically with the content creation six-pack. But coming out of that, we then, because we've created our own GPTs and different things like that, by dumping 10 years worth of content creation into them, so that they can actually come from the learning phase of actually becoming the expert now by going through the training, to using automation to get these scripts and content written in seconds. We have a hook master that creates just rock star hooks all day long just by interacting with the GPT. Same thing with scripts, same thing with mentorship around digital marketing. We have these GPTs we've created, but we always want to make sure that first they're gathering the knowledge, so that they're not just being lazy about it. Because when they are creating videos, you have a lot more confidence in your videos when you do have that understanding of how this works. If you want to create content talking about hooks or talking about SEO or talking about CTAs or whatever, you can do that with authority now. You're not just that imposter syndrome that a lot of these folks have when they start.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
I hope you're enjoying this podcast. I hope you're taking notes. I hope you're learning so much practical wisdom, because that's what I really wanted from this podcast. Now, I just want to quickly say, if you're looking for a team that can actually help you explode and go viral with your personal brand with proven methodologies, I say this because I've been doing this for the past 5 years. We've got a team of 30 people who are ready to go ahead and explode your brand so you can get clients begging to work with you. Have a chat with one of our advisors. You can book in a chat using one of the links around this video, because that chat might just change your life.
And so you've got hook, sub hook, body, CTA. Is that kind of the main?
You have like sometimes we really push the double CTA really hard. So the CTA and the sub hook, and then the CTA on the end as well. But again, it really starts, with the topic, because your topic is basically your hook and it's your SEO at the same time. It sets up the whole video, your topic. For example, what's the topic of my next video? Well, what is my target audience searching for online? Like how to make money on TikTok, or how to become a content creator, or so those are my topics.
Right.
But it's also my hook, right? You just incorporate the problem solution. And then if your SEO is basically just your topic. So, how to make money on TikTok for beginners, or, how to get started making money on TikTok. That's your SEO. So the guesswork is all gone. There's no guesswork, right? It's all very obvious once you choose your topic. So you start with the topic, then your hook, sub hook, you've got your copy in the main body, and then you exit with your with a strong CTA, where you're delivering that promise of value to make sure that you're keeping that contract with them, right?
Amazing. I love that. I love that so much. I think that's going to be so helpful for our listeners and our viewers. So I really appreciate you sharing that. Let's talk about, once they do capture these leads, let's talk about that. So they've made the content's giving them, people are clicking the link in the bio, they're putting in their details for this lead magnet, which, let's talk about that. What lead magnet do you typically advise? Is it, videos, documents, masterclasses, webinars? Like, what do you typically advise?
Well, that's a great question, because because it solves a massive problem. Because the other thing is, when they buy these digital product programs, they just have this one product and it's already kind of pre-built into a sales funnel. So it's very one-dimensional. If you're driving traffic there and people are grabbing some value from you, well, maybe they're not interested in that one product. We help our students build out a store, so that's more of an agency style feel. So we give them lead magnets like, like free resources like PDFs or mini trainings or mini courses. We give them ebooks. But what's very important to us in that process is not just creating these PDFs or ebooks or trainings, and there's, it's just copy that someone's taken from AI. What's critically important to us is that there's real actionable strategies inside these freebies, so that people can take one bit of that, apply it, and actually make an impact on a problem they're trying to solve. So if you're, in attraction marketing, if your first connection with them is that they're getting some kind of value that is practical, that they can use, that's a great way to start a relationship if you're wanting to sell, a bigger ticket item to them somewhere down the road, or take them into that ascension model where, they're grabbing that free resource, and then maybe you're hitting them with a $7 one or a $17 one, bringing them up that value scale.
Yep.
So we create a lot of stuff like that is problem solving trainings, or, extracting a training from our main body of training that does specifically solve one problem. Even if it's just one page PDF, we want the person that's grabbed that to be able to take something from that, apply it, to start to see a change or difference or help solve a problem.
Yeah. So the format varies, could be ebooks, could be PDF document, could be a video, but the key principle being that it solves a particular problem with a practical solution.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. We don't want it to be fluff, where you're just grabbing something. It's just kind of some generalized. There needs to be an actionable element to it as well.
Absolutely. I agree. We advise the same to our clients, so I completely agree. After the leads come in, you mentioned part of your mentorship program, you offer pre-built funnels.
Yes.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the funnel. So what does that typically look like?
So if here's an example. If you're someone that's bought a digital product course and you're struggling, you run into us and you see, oh, this is a solution to my problem. I can buy this program. It's going to help me create content that converts predictably now. When they buy that program, they can actually also resell it as an affiliate for an 80% commission. So it solves their problem, helps them, with a lot of other content creators solve their problem. So when you buy it and you get into the program, you start going through the training, it just walks you step by step through how to apply these strategies. But there's a lot more to it. Like we're teaching them lead generation on other platforms like Facebook and Instagram as well, using bot systems. We show them how to plug AI into their business as a lead generation, lead nurturing tool as well. And to add some systemization and automation to their business so that, the bots are talking to their customers, bringing them further down the sales funnel. Pretty common strategy these days, obviously. Sorry, just remind me, back up with the question. I got lost.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. I mean, even then you were still valuable with what you were saying. So let's talk about both of those things. So the funnels that you mentioned that you
Yes. So again, there is a big component where it is kind of a done for you business that if you do want to resell this program to other people because you see the value in it, we have pre-built funnels already for you. So, just click of a button, it automatically populates in your system account or, if you're using redirect or wherever, it'll automatically populate in there, or we show you how to set up that funnel in StanStore or in a Beacons account so that if you do want to resell it, you can do that fairly easily without too much tech implementation. We give them email sequencing as well for nurturing those leads once they grab them already pre-written. All they're basically doing is just rebranding it for their business effectively. Yep. But we go much deeper than that because buying a course to sell a course, we all know that that's kind of pretty beaten up these days, but we want them to build long-term sustainable businesses. So we teach them about branding. We teach them how to create their own digital products if they want to sell. We're trying to push them in the direction of becoming more of an agency because some of our trainings, we actually teach them. We have inside of our course, we teach them how to do TikTok audits for other content creators and to charge them how to do that, So charge them, maybe $97 to do a TikTok audit for them. We teach them how to do mentorship calls, how they can charge people to do mentorship calls. Because listen, we all know this, you only need to know just this much more than someone that just started today to help guide them effectively, right? But after they've gone through our program, they do gain a certain level of expertise about content creation for organic content. So they can speak as an expert on it. They can help other people solve their problems. Yeah. So by teaching them these things, and they can host these things in their store, now when someone shows up on their store, it's not just one digital product. They've got some lead magnets. They've got like a $27 product, a $47 product. They've got some services if they want to buy a TikTok audit or a mentorship that they can sell. So they have a real more of an agency style business now rather than this one-dimensional digital product, right?
Yeah. No, I love that. So lead comes in, they've opted for the lead magnet. You offer a variety of different pre-built funnels, but also there's also multiple services they can offer.
Yeah.
On the funnels, I always get the typical question, like, should I run a masterclass? Should I get them straight into a call? Should I just have a high converting landing page? What do you typically advise to your students?
Great question. Yeah, I think a lot of it is product dependent, right? Like product or service dependent. If you're talking about a big ticket item, that journey could be very different than these lower ticket items. And then it also depends on the pain point, right? Like the thing about this kind of mid-level digital product at about $397 is because the pain point is so big in the industry, moving someone through that process from first connection to sale, it can really be automation. It can all really be automation, that you can be as hands-off really as you want. In most cases, you don't even need to get on a call with someone because the pain point is so high, but the price is also, kind of priced in an area where it's hard for them to say no to, because it is a solution to their problem. So with something like that, I mean, this journey works really, really well. But once you know this, as most people do, as you start moving up the ladder in terms of the dollar value of what that's going to cost, getting someone into a call becomes a little more critical, because it's, they're spending a lot more money on it. So really anything under kind of 597, we stick to that traditional hands-off automated funnel system, where they see a piece of content, find out that there's an opportunity to solve a problem, get them maybe into an evergreen webinar so that they can gather more information and just move them right to the sale, by creating an irresistible offer.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of typical of the journey we follow, because that seems to work from everything from, a $7 product up to a $597 product. But we also do teach them, we give them scripts on how to get into appointments and get into calls, because even at a $397 product, sometimes people just want to speak to a real person. So we show them how to do both those things, where, they can, if the person's coming out of a webinar or coming out of whatever, that they can set up a quick call with the person, and we give them those phone scripts so they can walk the person through the call to get them to the sale, basically just focusing on their pain point solution element as you're walking them through the call. And so those are the two main strategies we use. There is the hands-off funnel, but also the appointment setting funnel. Our students, because they've struggled so much in the past, and this is kind of their first time having a real solution to have success, the bigger ticket stuff may require some time for them to learn and grow and gain experience.
Nice. So evergreen webinars, they seem to work the best. I also agree. Evergreen webinars always work the best. Do you get your students to record them? Do you follow a certain script? Do they have to follow a certain flow, certain scripts?
Yeah. So we when they get their funnel, we already have one, like an evergreen webinar installed in there. But we did notice, in our research with the other digital product companies, a lot of times it's the owner delivering that of the company. So if I'm looking to buy a program, do I want to buy it off this person that's only been in digital marketing for a couple of weeks, or would I buy it off the guy in the video that's the owner of the company? So we also give them the script and show them how to shoot it for themselves, so they can be the talking head in the video, so that they can, from a proprietary standpoint and a branding standpoint, it keeps that funnel intact. So the person's not splintering off going, I'm going to go find the guy in the video and buy it from him,
I agree.
So we teach them how to do that as well. It is part of our training in our program. We teach them how to go live on these platforms, because, listen, my experience was when I was going live, I could get at least one sale in every live. I sold 3 big tickets in one live one night, money in the bank, So I teach them how to optimize their lives, because a lot of them will just jump on their live. They haven't filled out their description or the topic or put a thumbnail or anything in there, so that you can repel away the people you don't want, attract the people you do want into the live, get rid of a lot of those crazies that show up in your lives. But it's a fantastic way to sell right now. It is lives on these platforms. It is not unusual to walk away with a sale in every single live you do, but it serves another purpose as well. It's part of your content creation journey. A lot of people kind of feel stressed about, I have to make 3 videos a day. Well, 3 bad videos a day are still 3 bad videos a day, right? Like, I teach them how to take a live and turn that into content. If you go into your live strategically with some really great content, and there's so many softwares out there now where you can take these sound bites or reels or whatever out of your lives and end up with 4 or 5 pieces of content that's already pre-optimized for you, because the AI in these video editing softwares gives you your hook, gives you a great hook from that little 1-minute excerpt from your live. And then you don't have to be so stressed about creating 3 pieces of content every day.
Mm.
Created a live on that day, there's one, and then you've taken two other pieces of content out of the live that you can turn into a reel or whatever, shorts or whatever you want to do, and then you can take your live and turn it into a YouTube video. It doesn't have to be so complicated, this content creation journey, if you're doing it with strategy.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. I want to talk about moving forward, the future. So
yes,
TikTok, I mean, there's a lot of news around TikTok right now. Like, is it going to get banned? If it is going to get banned, what's going to be the plan?
Yeah.
A lot of what we've spoken about is TikTok strategy. So what's the plan with now, the news on TikTok?
Good question. I get asked it every single day. What are we going to do when TikTok gets banned? I'm like, well, it's not going to get banned, first of all. It's just posturing by the American government is all it is. You have to look at the data, right? So I studied economics in university. I have that kind of mindset. Yeah. So if you're talking about a platform where just in the United States alone, in 2020, last year, right, there was $14 billion generated for small to medium-sized businesses from that platform alone. So do you really think the American government's going to pull the rug out from these small to medium-sized businesses and take $14 billion in revenue away from them after they just came out of a pandemic, which they barely survived?
Agreed. Yeah.
It's just not good for the economy on any level. So again, it's just posturing to try and gain a more favorable position about who's actually running these platforms, right? But so I don't see that happening. But having said that, there's no guarantees. So you do have to have other distribution channels. So, we do teach lead generation on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is something we're really going to push really hard because it partners really well with our AI strategies right now, with our lead nurturing through AI. And so that's going to be a big one for us in 2025. But again, the other thing we teach them to do is to build their own communities. So they have a place, not only do they have like these leads they're building up in their emails, they also have a private community where they can continue to nurture leads and support people and have that captive audience to introduce new opportunities to these people. Because you can't just rely on one distribution channel. You have to open up as many distribution channels as possible because you never know, right? We don't have any control over what happens over there. So it's important to have other opportunities.
Agreed. You mentioned LinkedIn. I also agree. LinkedIn is definitely super powerful. But within that, you mentioned AI nurturing. Are you referring to LinkedIn messaging and kind of automated appointment setting?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. So we're working with a 4-bot system right now. So essentially, obviously, sending out that first connection, starting the conversation. Our main conversation starter right now is what are your plans in 2025 to install AI into your business to improve your sales and services? That's all we ask people.
Nice.
That's the main conversation starter. So you either know or you don't know, right? Like that in 2025, AI is going to be critical to any business on the planet. Yeah. It's so again, so it follows that process, and then we have telephone systems set up. We have text chat systems set up that are all AI, nice. Like that you can be in a phone conversation with an AI and not even know it, and take them to the sale. In fact, the close rates in those conversations are the highest I've ever seen in 15 years of doing this. Yes, and I'll tell you why. Because the bot that's talking to you gets smarter in that sales conversation with every single sales conversation. Wow. So an example is if I have an objection and my first conversation as an AI bot with it is that I didn't get the perfect result from handling that objection, it gets smarter. It goes, I'm going to handle it differently this time until it starts seeing the result it wants to see from that objection.
Amazing.
So it keeps getting smarter with every one of those conversations. So the person can't get out of the conversation because every objection they bring up is handled so masterfully that they have to buy the product. We've seen as high as 80% close rates in those circumstances. And again, I've had people on these phone calls that do not know they're talking to a bot.
Amazing.
They have no idea. They think they're just talking to a really smart person. That's so again that. But again, that automation, right? When you hook it up to the CRM and then you've got systemization and automation with the bot. So it's handling your customer support. It's handling your sales. It's handling the grabbing of the lead and then the nurturing of it through the system. So that you can have a really, autonomous business. Because a lot of companies talk about that, right? These lazy work days where money is falling out of the sky and everything's automated. This is real automation where you can, have, when you're sleeping in bed at night, the AI bot, it doesn't require sick days or holidays or time off or, it's got me crazy excited.
Yeah.
After having a very successful career, and I kind of thought I was retired, I'm like, I can't go anywhere for the next 5 years because AI has just pulled me right back in. I can't say that I'm going to walk away from the biggest transformation in the history of marketing in our world history. I can't do that. I just can't.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah. That's amazing. So LinkedIn, big opportunity, but then within LinkedIn, let's talk about like AI. You mentioned obviously the fact that there's going to be nurturing, there's going to be closing. Yeah. What about Instagram?
Yeah. So what we're seeing work really well on Instagram right now we can incorporate bots with Instagram right now. I mean, people have been doing it for quite a while right now, but what we're seeing work really well on Instagram, because there's a lot of people that want to go faceless and not be a talking head, and they struggle. And I just see so many faceless trainings, and I'm like, this isn't a strategy. This is not that, and you see hundreds of faceless people doing this same thing,
Yeah.
Like, and it's always, who knew that when I started digital marketing 3 months ago, I'd be having 10 grand months, which is not true. They're just reposting something they were taught. We teach them a completely different strategy, which is working really, really well. And it is partnered with bots. So, you're creating that trigger word for them to comment, to get that. And it harkens back to what we talked about the subhook and the promise of value. So instead you're creating content saying, hey, I've decided I'm giving away, my $97, whatever it is, that's going to help you achieve this, and this for $17. Anyone who wants to grab it, just comment, fix below or whatever. And then the bot takes over, right? So instead of creating content just for the sake of creating content, they're creating value-based faceless content where people can grab resources or get educated or get tips or tricks from you. So every piece of content has some type of value. You're positioning yourself as an expert. You're getting resources in people's hands so that you're gathering leads. You're getting those low, offer sales points where you can bring them through the ascension model eventually. But most importantly, you're gathering leads. You're not, you don't just have an expensive hobby anymore of creating content that doesn't do anything. That's basically the same piece of content 100,000 other people created up today. You're putting value in people's hands and then using the automation to nurture those leads to have that conversation. Hey, and you can set that up. Obviously, we all know where it's they've commented, the bots responded saying, hey, here's where you grab this piece of, or this resource, go here. And then afterwards it's saying, hey, we wanted to also invite you into our Facebook group. It's for free, where you can grab more of these tools and more of these resources, right? You're building that captive audience. And then you're following up in 2 days saying, hey, we just wanted to find out whether you really appreciated this resource you grabbed. A lot of people that grab that also grab this. It's only $17 right now, or it's only $27, and it will help you solve this, and this. So just, being really effective with that. That's the strategy we're seeing that's working really, really well right now on Instagram, is just getting that value in the hand, partnering with the bots, and just bringing them in. And again, getting that captive audience, right? You always have to be building your own community.
Yeah. I agree. We're exploring bots as well at the moment with Instagram. Our CMO has been exploring a few different tools. We've explored Closebot, we've explored ChatGPT, Make integration. There's a few different things. What bots do you kind of recommend?
Well, listen, some of these softwares that we utilize, like even a company like StanStore, which, a lot of people, I think they have 100,000 users right now. But they've just installed a chat system that hooks up directly with Instagram.
Amazing.
Directly to your store. So you can manage and control all that right in there. It's a pretty robust software. Like they've got communities in there. You can have a store setting, email automations. They're still improving, but it's just a great software that way. But obviously ManyChat, and then we do use CRM systems partnered with AI bots to connect. So we're not really using any, store-bought stuff. Mm-hmm. In a lot of cases, we're using our own or building our own, 100 different ways, right? Zapier, you can use all kinds of stuff to hook these bots up from your store to your funnels or to your whatever it is, right? Like to your content. So we try and keep everything as proprietary in-house as possible, because what happens is we can resell that, right? We can do these done for you things and get them in people's hands. And that, in fact, is a very big part of our strategy going into 2025 with AI and chat automation and different things, is we built proprietary systems ourselves that will partner with like Go High Level, so that it can all be managed that way effectively. And, they can do things like go into our system and put in what their perfect target audience is on LinkedIn, and the AI will go out and search for them, and just start those conversations with them.
Incredible. Amazing. So final couple questions, John. What would you like to leave our viewers and our listeners with if you had one message that you'd love to share?
Yeah, great question. I would say this, and I mean, a lot of us already know this, but I would really, really be taking it very seriously, how AI is going to transform our industry in the next year or two. I mean, if you consider the different revolutions in the history of our planet around business, so the Industrial Revolution, it was kind of 20 or 30 years to really take hold and have an impact. And then you move on to the digital, it was kind of like 20 years as well. Even e-commerce, like we remember, that kind of 10, 15, 20-year journey where these stores didn't adapt to it, and they're gone now forever. You're talking about stores like department stores that were national, international department stores that were around for 100 years, and they had 10 to 15 years to adapt to e-commerce. They didn't, and they're gone forever now. Well, here's what you need to be aware of is with AI, it's not going to be 10 to 15 years. It's 2 years at the most. So if you don't make 2025 about AI for your business online, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he's one of the top AI consultants on the planet. He basically said there's going to be two types of businesses by the end of 2025. Those that are using AI and those that are on their way out. Wow. I can't express it enough. It's not going to be like the other journeys where it's a decade or 2 decades. It's going to be 2 years. Yeah. And so if you want to survive, start diving in.
Agreed. Love it. Well, I appreciate you, John. And how can everyone find you if they want to find out more?
Well, online, we're Mastering Online Profit. All our socials are there, so fairly easy to find us that way. But really, you can connect to us through our admin at masteringonlineprofit.com if you want, or again, anywhere on our socials. We have a great support team that work really hard to keep all our people happy and all our students and anyone that's connected to us. So really easy to find us online.
Amazing. Yeah. Appreciate you, John. Thank you so much for joining us.
Appreciate you having us here. It was great chatting with you.
I really hope you enjoyed this podcast. I want you to go away and execute everything there is that you've learned. Now, one thing I will say is if you're in a position where you're ready to actually take things to another level, you want structured, clear guidance, you want a team that can actually help accelerate you, book in a chat with our advisors. Why? We can blow up your personal brand to attract clients begging to work with you. All you got to do is book in a chat with our advisors and we can help make it happen. Sound fair enough?